My next guest is an innovative and unique musician who has created his own style of music ever since he first got his group, the Mothers of Invention, together back in 1964. And when he had that group, he put out some albums with bizarre titles like Hot Rats, We're Only in It for the Money, Weasels Ripped My Flesh, and Lumpy Gravy. All love songs. Today he's here to talk about his brand new group and his new album called Zoot Allures. Here is Frank Zappa. You got some real fans that stood up when you came. Those are very unusual titles. How do you come up with titles like that, Frank?
I'm abnormal.
Then it's easy for you.
Yeah,
huh?
it's just an everyday thing.
Yeah. You have a classical background. That intrigues me. Are you
Not
doing...
really. I'm just...
I know about you, Frank. Are you doing this just for the money? Would you rather be doing something else, or is this what you're really into, the kind of music you're playing?
Oh, I love what I'm doing.
Do you?
Yeah.
How long have you been into the rock music?
Since I was 15. I'm 35 now, so that's a while.
How did you first tune into it? Who did you start listening to?
Used to listen to rhythm and blues records.
Anybody in particular that really reached you at that
in
time?
In those days, I used to really like Johnny Guitar Watson and Clarence Gatemouth Brown and the Howlin' Wolf, and guys like that. You know, all the old favorites.
In reading about you, you said that when you took musicians on the road, it was like they were, kind of going to college, and that you had classes every day with them. Explain that to me, will you?
We rehearsed a lot. See, the musicians, when I put my first group together, they came from unusual backgrounds. The singer used to be a bartender. The bass player was a truck driver for a lumber company in Orange County, California. And the drummer used to work for the electric company in Kansas and also at a gas station. And
well, that's not really unusual, because all of us had weird, strange jobs that we had to do to eat, before we got into what we wanted to do.
Well, with them, it almost seemed like they got into music by accident,
Yeah.
So there was quite a bit to study. So we'd go out and
how do you
have a
find
job.
guys like that who are in other jobs? Where did you congregate? Where'd you all meet?
Pomona, of course.
You found each other in Pomona?
Yeah, a place called the Broadside.
That's what I'm getting to.
Yeah,
And
it was a bar.
Just start by jamming or what?
Well, actually, there was a group that was in existence before I got the mysterious phone call. I knew the singer in the group. His name was Ray, and he had had a fight with the other guitar player in the group, and he had punched his lights out, and he was out of the band, and they needed somebody to come in and take over for a while, so I went down there and sat in with them. I thought they were real good, so...
Dude, may I ask a favor of you?
Sure.
Would you? We're in a time bind, and I want you to play, and then
Okay.
we'll talk some more later. Okay?
Sure.
Can you?
Yeah.
Can you play some for one?
It's going to take a moment, folks. I got to plug it in here. Turn on the giant amplifier. Let's see. Nice one, huh? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1.
Did you discover Alice Cooper? Is that the truth?
Well, sort of. They came over to, I used to have a record company, and they came over to my house to audition for a contract. They had been working in Arizona, and I woke up, some friends told me they were coming over to audition, and I was upstairs sleeping, and I had this basement in this log cabin in Laurel Canyon. It was real big, and we used to practice in there. So they had come in and set up their equipment while I was still asleep, and I woke up to it one day, went down, and there they were, playing their little hearts out.
Why did you think he had the potential to be a rock star?
Well, I didn't make up my mind right then. I waited until I saw him play in concert a few times, and they were opening act for us several times, and invariably when they would play, thousands of people would leave the room, and I knew they had something.
I'm not sure I followed that. Leave the room and you knew they had something?
They had people had a very violent response to it, and if you look at the people who are responding that way, and then you look at the response and you listen to what's going on, you can make an assumption that something is going on, you know. And the record company that I had was called Bizarre, and I was putting out albums by people like Wildman Fisher and stuff like that, so I figured, well, here we go.
Got another one.
Yeah, live one.
Did he call himself Alice Cooper then?
Yeah, he was called Alice Cooper. Of course, he wasn't dressed up with the girl-type clothes and that sort
the
of
sequence and stuff.
No, that was applied a little bit later.
What kind of music do you listen to relax?
Depends on how much I want to relax. You know, if I want to relax a little bit, I'll go to a discotheque because I know it's always going to be the same, and so that automatically relaxes you. It's like in TV, they have the franchise. Yeah. You know, where you know everything is going to happen and TV is going to be the same. That's the way disco music is. You know, the kick drum is going to be louder than anything else, and it's going boom, 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 helps your digestion.
You're saying there's predictability to TV. You know when you're tuning
Oh, I know.
What's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it's planned, isn't it?
Yeah. When you want, no, not here, is it?
Oh. Well, I wasn't talking about you.
We don't know what we're going to do. I'm serious. We really don't. We try to think we are knowing what we're doing. But it's worked out for 15 years that we just kind of fly by the seat of our pants.
That's the most fun.
Sure it is. Do you listen when you want to relax a lot? You didn't get around to that.
When I want to relax a lot, I'll listen to classical music usually.
Yeah. What specifically?
Well, the stuff that puts me into the most dreamlike state would be something like Anton Webern string quartets, or maybe I'll listen to Elliott Carter string quartets.
That's wild. What do you do to listen to that? What do you do to relax? What kind of, you love music, and you were really tuned into Frank a moment ago.
Well, the thing is, I really enjoy all kinds of, like, as I guess any musician does, you really have to have at least some, not necessarily understanding, but some relationship with all types of music. But I am, like Frank, I listen to classical music if I really, but Bach just does it for me. I mean, I could, anything, the Swingle Singers used to just knock me out.
Oh, I love that.
I'd sit and listen to their whole album. And that's a different type of classical music, because you're talking classical in the strictest sense, I would imagine, in the string quartets and so forth. But I do appreciate that too. But I like the soft, mellow classical stuff. Like Tchaikovsky's a little too, you know, frantic for me.
What about you, Jimmy, for relaxation?
If I'm working, there's two things I listen to, which is going to sound weird. There's Segovia. I listen to him.
Sound weird to me.
And then there's the rock thing. The main rock people I listen to in terms of relaxation are probably James Taylor and Joni Mitchell. In terms of relaxation, which may be commercial and crass, I know, and sweet and loving, but I like that, so that's my thing.
I got to talk to you because you did something, was it a public service spot that you did, sounding off against drugs, the use of drugs? You've never been into that scene yourself?
No, I'm not a drug fanatic myself, no.
No, I wasn't implying that.
I mean, I'm just not enthusiastic.
I know you're turned off.
Frank.
You're turned off about drugs, aren't you, specifically?
No, I really don't like them, and I especially don't like what they do to people.
Have you had any friends of yours that have gotten into it, and you've seen things happen to them? That
I've
you think
seen
are...
some people that wound up where they couldn't tie their shoes.
I couldn't do that till I was 27. No.
Well, I thought it was especially deplorable in this one case because he had to wait until he was 28 to learn, and by the time he was 30, he was in trouble.
Yeah. No, I was only being facetious, but I'm really interested in that, and I'm interested in what reaction your fans had to your doing that spot.
Well, a lot of people believe that I'm, you know, out there, you know.
Aren't people past that, just looking at a person trying to decide what they're... You cannot decide upon meeting a person, regardless of what their hair is like or their clothes. You can't find out what... You don't know what that person's about until you sit down and spend some time.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of other people who did those public service announcements were actually heavily into the chemical alteration process. So maybe the people who listened to those spots took it with a grain of salt. But
I
I'm
think
against it.
of that type of spot, the most impressive thing, the most memorable thing I have ever seen on television was the fellow who had terminal cancer, who was once a part of the Perry Mason show. Remember him? I
Yeah.
can't think of his name. It was
Talmadge.
Talmadge. Got on and did a thing on smoking because it had gotten his lungs. He wanted to help people. Can you imagine having that kind of guts, man? To get on and do that was that's got to be something that hang in there with you for a long time. You
You
brought
smoke?
us a. Excuse me.
Do you smoke?
No, I don't smoke.
Did that turn you off when you saw that?
No, because my father was a heavy smoker, and he's having problems with emphysema because of that. And so I think that's why I didn't smoke. I was around it so much as a kid. And I stole a cigar once and smoked it. I was 12 when I turned green, and it wasn't St. Patrick's Day.
El Ropo therapy.
Ooh, boy, that's not for me. Anyway, you brought us a documentary that you did called A Token of His Extreme. I love that title. Tell me what we're about to see,
We're
Frank.
about to see 2 minutes of a piece of videotape that was made almost 2 years ago, embodying the performance of the Mothers of Invention. And it was put together with my own money and my own time, and it's been offered to television networks and to syndication. And it has been steadfastly rejected by the American television industry. It has been shown in prime time in France and Switzerland with marvelous results. It's probably one of the finest pieces of video work that any human being has ever done.
I like a man that's modest.
You did it yourself.
I did it myself, and the animation that you're going to see, and this was done by a guy named Bruce Bickford, and I hope he is watching the show because it's probably the first time that a lot of people in America got a chance to see it. So,
Well,
turn
it's
it
our
on.
pleasure. Let's see it.
Frank Zappa, we'll be right back.